Back when I first got my PS5, I of course played the little free tech demo that comes pre-installed on all consoles. And initially, I wasn't expecting much from it, but it didn't take long for me to absolutely fall in love with it as a longtime PlayStation fan and a longtime platformer fan. This game was incredible. I had every intention of writing a review for it at the time, but I just had so much going on, I never did get around to it. But in that review, I would have talked about the tight controls, the satisfying hover boost, and all the DualSense features crammed into it, the stunning visuals that are both cartoony and refined, the creative levels, catchy music, especially the GPU song, the difficulty, balanced yet challenging enough, and of course, all the PlayStation references. This truly was one of the greatest platforming experiences I had ever played, and I've played many. So I already knew I would have ended that review exclaiming how much I wished it was a full game, and how I'd wish that a full game of this caliber would come someday. Well, finally, a few years after initially playing that tech demo, the full game of my dreams seems to be here. The trailer looks amazing, like a true continuation of everything I loved about Astro's Playroom, but there is yet some time before we can know for sure. Well, the game's out already, just bear with me for the sake of narrative. That intro really was written back in June, and in the time between the reveal and the release, there is a sort of celebration going on inside the Astro's Playroom tech demo game to hype up the upcoming full release of Astrobot. A secret labo room was constructed beneath the existing PlayStation Museum, which is initially empty, but will house 7 new items once you revisit the gacha game. Guess those extra coins had a use after all. These gadgets were all released post-launch of the PS5, so it's cool to see their inclusion now. Also in this labo room will be a portal that will serve as a countdown to Astrobot. 5, 4, 3... Well, while we wait, there is another little feature added. 4 special bots have been hidden in the 4 levels included, and we're given a little puzzle upon entering. We'll have to find a clock and enter a corresponding date, walk on a wall and intentionally get hit, step on starfish in order and do a race course on the level screen, and have a dance battle after finding a banana. Good thing internet guides exist, cause I would have never figured even one of these out on my own. Though I still had fun regardless. Our reward is the 4 bot friends we'll get to transfer to the new game, and they're displayed in the countdown room. 2, 1, getting a bit crowded in here, and dark. And it's party time! The new game is officially playable, except not really, cause I like physical games and the stores aren't open till morning. Speaking of the physical game, it came with this pretty cool comic book and poster. It's always nice when games come with goodies like that. We need something to fill those empty manual slots. Okay, enough prelude. Jumping into the game, we see our bot friends flying their PS5 spaceship when all of a sudden, a butt-ugly Martian steals our components, and the console crashes, scattering all the bots around deep space. Not a huge story, but it's enough to get us going. We'll head out to our levels, housed within 5 main nebulas, and our quest can begin. Now, I'm not going to cover every level for the sake of time and sanity, so I think the best course of action would be to discuss the new inclusions the game is centered around. But for any of that to matter, we'll have to cover what came first. Astro's Playroom. The setting was the inner workings of the PS5. Our goal was to reach the end of each level to collect our PlayStation systems, 1 through 4, and then 5 for the finale. And after seeing each startup screen beautifully represented in a physical space, we add that console to the Labo Collection Room. And there's plenty more to see on the way. A number of artifacts are discovered in hidden areas that contribute to each console's section of the showroom. And puzzle pieces are also scattered about that reveal murals over time. And our collection quest is far from lonely, as plenty of bots are on set filming for whatever game they originate from. My favorites are of course Sly, Tsushima, Cole McGrath, Ratchet, Crash, Journey, and Cloud, even without Cloud being there. And the whole experience is capped off with a final boss fight featuring the PS1 Demo Raptor, which is a pretty dope throwback. But he evolves, now showing what he can do in the 9th generation. And then there's some final PS5 accessories to collect. So blasting forward to Astrobot, the setting is in space, with planets that have no real constraint on what they can be. I mean, there's not an actual jungle or a glacier beach inside the PS5, but each level is meant to represent an aspect of the system: GPU, SSD, cooling unit, RAM. The levels of Astrobot are conceptually free, yet still retain that computerish PlayStation charm. Our goal is still reaching the end, of course, but at the end of each planetary grouping, we collect ship pieces instead of consoles. Along the way, puzzle pieces are still collected, though their reward is more than visual, creating rooms that we'll touch on in a bit. Instead of gathering artifacts or watching cameos, the bots themselves are to be collected this time around. Some are plain old Astrobots, while others are gaming icons you may or may not recognize. A lot of these went over my head due to me either being unfamiliar with the franchise or just not recognizing the character portrayal due to the minimalist Chibibot style, though little hints are present upon collection. Some of my favorites are Sly, Ratchet, Kina, Journey, Jin, Ulala, Kazuma Kiryu, Cat, Sackboy, Parappa, Deslin, Boku, Dirt, Alundra, Stray, Okami, and Spyro. There's 7 bots to be found in any main level, and they really do well at spacing them out, so the pacing of the level stays fresh. If you haven't found a bot in a while, you probably just missed him, and upon collecting your next one, you'll see roughly how much of that level you've completed. But collecting these bots really is that, a collection, so we're gonna need some place to keep them. That Sandy Crash site from the beginning starts out empty and lonely, but over time, we build the place up. All of our discovered bots gather here, and they can either hang out or help us with some chores around the site. There's number requirements for each task, where every bot has the chance to pitch in and help us with discoveries or traversal to other sections. This in a way acts like a hub world, despite our actual levels being accessed from the space menu. But new galaxies are opened up by exploring the crash site, and it houses all of our collections. Besides the various bots, the gacha machine returns, and we're rewarded with figurine displays. And they're animated too. Those figurines don't just live in a menu either. You can view them there, but they're also added to the grounds surrounding the PS5 spaceship. It really is a fun time watching the world come alive around you. The gacha room is the first to be unlocked through puzzle pieces. There is also a DualSense ship customization room. I like the graffiti print. A changing room, allowing you to take on the appearance of a select number of notable bots. And Safari Room, which is cool to look at, I guess. Take a photo or two. Being a tech demo and all, Astro's Playroom set out to show us everything the console had to offer, both internal and out. The controller was such a bold leap that they changed the name from DualShock to DualSense. And the system's capabilities topped everything the PS4 Pro had going for it. And since Astro Bot is a continuation of the Playroom, it's only expected it would double down on the technical showcase. The visuals are outstanding. You see it immediately upon entering the first level with this Dr. Seuss-esque world. Every little bit of the game is filled with so much life. Contrast that with, say, the PS1, where there is only so much you could display at once. It really shows how far we've come. The lighting looks incredible, especially the glowing of the mushrooms or the vibrant casino effects. And one thing that really stood out to me was the sheer number of stuff. Objects littered and scattered everywhere. So much stuff. I'm no computer expert, but it's gotta take some serious processing to render and keep track of all those little objects, right? But it's expected a PS5 game is going to look good, so the main draw of the Playroom demo was to experience the new controller. One of my favorite things was feeling the footsteps of Astro as he walks over different textures. That's of course present here too. The sensation of walking on metal differs from dirt, or rubber, or wood, and it really helps immerse you into the game. The weight of this metal ball is felt through the controller, and that rumble is also used effectively in some gameplay mechanics, like when you have to feel for the right block to push to proceed forward. The controller's speaker is used in conjunction with the vibrations to really bring the sensation to life. Hearing those textured footsteps, leaping through leaves, bubbles underwater, or the impact of certain objects. The tension triggers are used throughout the game to varying degrees, like when you crush a solid capsule versus a glass one, use the boxing gloves gadget, or blow up the balloon bot. The microphone is used a little bit, requiring you to blow into it Nintendo DS style in a few different instances, like clearing the path forward, or putting out these lit candles. The motion control is present whenever steering the DualSense glider, reassembling the ship parts, or a full level of motion in the form of Loco Roco. And strangely, the swipe pad function didn't get any use that I can recall. Most other devs forgot about it too, anyway. Even the gyro aiming returned from the Playroom, which is a good thing, because that's a feature I feel is underutilized. And finally, the share button will even get some use. Various levels contain these little stand-ins where Astro and some animal bots will pose for a photo. How could you not take a screenshot? Astro's Playroom set the bar for how to incorporate these immersive features into the games. And Astro Bot serves as a reminder that not all studios are taking full advantage of it. Hopefully it will be something that continues to be supported on both the hardware and software side of things going forward. The technical aspects of Astro Bot were done very well, but I've got plenty more accolades to give to the game itself. I want to start off with simplicity. This is an ambitious game, but one that should feel accessible to anyone who has an interest in it. You don't have to be a precision platformer expert to enjoy it. Astro doesn't have the crazy acrobatic moves 3D Mario does, so you can focus less on how you move and more on everything going on around you. It's the same simplicity the first Super Mario game had. Sometimes running and jumping is more than enough, but the hover helps too. I've often seen some good-looking platform games bogged down with some gimmicks that are interesting at first, but over time end up holding the game back. Astro has a jump and a hover, and that's all you really need. But that doesn't mean that adding onto that basic playstyle is a bad thing. Most levels will feature a gadget or costume that will give you a new ability to master for the rest of the course. These are also simple, usually only requiring an L2 or R2 button press, and are learned fairly quickly. Some of the more notable ones for me were the boxing gloves, each one activated with its respective side of the controller, the light bulb, which reveals hidden platforms and walls, the honey blaster, allowing you to suck up and release honey or leaves as platforms, the slow-mo clock, slowing or stopping objects in place, the sponge, absorbing water causing you to grow and allowing you to spit it out where you need to, and the boosters, dog for horizontal and chicken for vertical. These gadgets help switch things up some in creative ways, while never really overstaying their welcome or becoming too repetitive. The levels themselves are consistently fun. There's cool concepts going on, like a construction site building itself around you, an extremely tall tree we have to climb up, a fast-moving casino, a haunted graveyard, bamboo bathhouse, ancient Egypt with bot hieroglyphics, a toyland that changes between night and day, or a floating flower garden. But my favorite one has to be the Big Small World, where you become an Astro Mouse shrinking down to actual size. It's so fun to watch the world seamlessly go from small to big as you figure out how to best proceed. This game is oozing with charm, from the exciting moments like the tree growing before your eyes only to begin singing to you, the dangerous volcano turning into a lush grove, the rainstorm stopping as soon as the big bot is freed, or thinking you're about to clear a rather uneventful level only to be eaten by a giant worm and have to escape. All of the special bots contribute to this charm factor too, providing neat references. And I don't know if it's just me, but that fish eating me while swimming really took me back to exploring too far in the waters of Jak and Daxter. And if you really want charm, you have to look no further than all the different animal bots across the game. Flamingos, mouses, ants, moles, frogs, dogs, cats, monkeys, turtles, dolphins, snake, ducks, spiders, fancy flamingos. It's a whole zoo in there. Fish, worms, birds, starfish, seals, deer, bears, elephants, space dogs. There's so much to see and do around every turn, making you want to explore every little bit of it. I really love these big coins appearing in places you might think they didn't intend for you to reach. Nice touch. If you're exploration bound, like I am, you probably won't miss too many of the bot's hiding places. But the ones that you do miss only give you another reason to return later and spelunk again. The fun just goes on and on. Besides the main levels, you'll find challenge levels surrounding the planets, one bot each. Hidden levels and alternate exits, hidden of course in some creative way, usually 5 bots each. And there's even themed levels starring a famous bot. Bot Escape, Bot of War, Bot Charted, Cora Loco, Bot Choco, Bot Ryzen, Zero Dawn. It's cool to see some franchises getting a little more than just a nod through bot characterization. I could see the next Astro game diving into these different worlds completely, and every gadget mechanic correlating accurately to the game it's referencing. As for the game we have now, I have almost nothing bad to say about it. I only really have 2 gripes, and they're small. The first one just comes down to personal preference, but I've never really liked when games had a one-hit death life system. It can make some sections frustrating when there's a lot going on, and not every hit is going to feel preventable. I'd gladly accept a one free hit shield, even if the game is made twice as hard to compensate. But that's just me. This never was a huge deal, and it's not like anything was ever lost but a small amount of time. And it's not like there's even game overs anyway. And there's plenty of checkpoints throughout each level, so it's not even much of a setback. Though maybe an easy mode could be implemented using those heart shields present during boss battles, since this game could really appeal to some who don't really play video games much. Just a thought. The difficulty was well balanced, never really too hard or too easy, with the exception of the challenge levels. But then again, that's their whole point. The other somewhat gripe I have is that the changing room was a bit of a late unlock for me. I had 3 of the 5 galaxies finished and half of the bot count before I could even try out any costume that are strictly visual to begin with. Plus there's further unlocking to be done beyond that. In the recent Dress Up Simulator Stellar Blade, I would wear a completely different outfit each day that I played, and it was cool to see that much variation. Knowing costumes would be an Astrobot, I was sort of hoping to do something similar. Assume the identity of a different character for each play session. Though to be fair, the default Astrobot is adorable enough. Though those complaints hardly took away from the majesty that is this game. The levels are the perfect size, whether you want to get a small dose of the fun by playing 1 or 2 in a day, or string a number of them together in one play session without anything becoming stale. The stunning visuals will stimulate the eyes, and the different gadgets will have you traverse these levels in unique ways. It's never dull for a moment, with so much life and charm packed into every ounce of the game. And the upbeat environments will have you consistently wanting to explore more. There's a huge amount of replayability, with plenty of collectibles and reasons to revisit each world. And watching that crash site continuously become more lively each time you visit is a real joy. The boss fights keep the excitement coming with these huge adversaries you take down in interesting ways. And all the familiar bots just hanging out and doing their own thing make it a real treat to visit Astro's world. Astrobot has really earned his place among the platforming greats, and the game itself is really deserving of every bit of praise it's been receiving. There's no real need for further review. Playing Astrobot is a lot like holding a DualSense controller. You really do need to experience it for yourself. And you should. Thanks for watching, everybody.